Welcome back to our channel, Hume's Little Homestead. I have something very exciting to show you. The avocados, 2 of the avocados, started getting their first sprout. This one hasn't done it yet, but this one is split open and you can see that sprout coming through. The chicks in here are doing great. We've got 4 quail and 1 chicken that I'm raising in the house, and they're doing great. Well, they'll go out when they get bigger, but right now they're not ready. They are feathered out quickly though, so that's pretty exciting. My tomatoes are getting close to being ready. Some are smaller than others, but I'm not too worried about it. Most of them are looking really big and healthy. I apologize for the wind, but I have to show you, I am so excited. I believe the bleeding heart bush has got its first sprout right here. I'm so happy to see this. I thought that I might have killed this plant because it was in the sun. So what I did is I put this board over it so that it could have full shade, and hopefully it will get established. And then in the afternoon, this apple tree is gonna get bigger, and my 2 rose bushes, and this will be more of a shady area in the afternoon. It's shaded in the morning from the coop, so you can see, but at noon it gets really sunny and hot. And then if you look down here, there's some carrots. That's our parsley. Maybe I could plant it over by the chickens. Or should I leave it in here?
I don't care where you put it.
Don't jump on that, Emmett.
The one we're leaving?
I don't know how much parsley a person needs. Where are you putting it?
Oh, you want it by the chickens?
I don't know where to put it. By the strawberries?
Where it's going for now.
And then if you could get this small clump.
Hey, did you see this?
A carrot.
It's all dried out.
I know. I've been feeding those to the pig.
Go give this to the pig.
This parsley here.
Get that out of your mouth, dude.
We could say. As we were tilling up the garden and I was getting out grass clumps, I found this little tree. I think it's a cottonwood tree. So I'm going to plant it in a pot and see if it'll get bigger, and then we can decide where to plant it on our property if it grows. I just dug the chump up. I think that's its taproot right there coming out. So I think I got all of its roots. I'm actually going to plant it in, this is where I had my lily project. I had 5 of these little lily bulbils in here. Only one is living right now. I'm going to just dig a hole and put it in this soil and move this pot outside by the chicken coop. Ew, don't touch it. Just leave it.
I'm trying to look at these little whisker things it's got.
Looks like roots. What is it?
It's got a stinger.
Is it a wasp? Is it one of those tarantula hawk wasps?
I don't think so. Bees don't do that. That's like a cocoon.
Oh, those wasps though, those tarantula wasps.
Yeah, but they don't start out like that, do they?
Might. I don't know. I had to take a phone call, but Ryan put those strange cocoons down in this soil that we found. So we're gonna see what hatches. I didn't want to keep it in the house because they're kind of creepy looking. My guess is that they're green hornworms, the green tomato worms, the hornworms. They're really huge caterpillars that eat tomato plants. That's my guess of what they are because of their size and their shape. But I don't know if anybody else has any guesses. This is really messy because it's been outside, but we just put some strange creature in. I don't think they're gonna mind. But yeah, so that's what's going on with those chrysalises. Is that what you want to call them? Cocoons that we found in the ground in our garden area. Woohoo! Pet it! Pet it, Emmett! We're going to be putting 8 archways up this garden season. I'm pretty excited about it. Ryan has a plan on how to get the irrigation, well, I call it irrigation, the irrigation rows. We don't use irrigation, we use city water, but it'll basically be the same concept as irrigation.
Okay, so the plan for this year is, I don't know if you can see in the background, these archways right here that we have. We're gonna do 4 of them on each side. So we'll do 2 trenches coming along on each one, and then so we'll have 4 trenches total. We're gonna do 2 rows of arches going down. We're gonna do, what are we planting on the archways? Beans
And melons.
and melons. So yeah, it should be fun. We haven't tried these archways before. We decided this year we're gonna kind of do a melon garden, so we'll see how it turns out.
The past couple of years, sorry we're trading off. He's got Emmett now. We gotta make sure he stays safe because he's a wild man and wants to get on the pig and everything. But anyway, we usually put tomatoes here, just lots and lots of tomatoes. So we've also had squash in here. Oh, we're doing also vining squash and crookneck squash in this area too. So, and the bush kind of squashes too. So this will be melons and squash. Gonna have to watch out for squash bugs big time. So normally I have tomatoes here, so we're going to be rotating, crop rotating. So, and we've been trying to no-till gardening. We didn't till for 2 years, but there was so much grass in here that we just had to till it up. So now it's tilled and ready. We still have our asparagus rows. One row is doing, there's the cat. We still have our asparagus. This row is doing much better than that row, but that row is still going okay. And I still have my blackberry bushes over here as well. So let me show you where we're gonna put tomatoes this year, because tomatoes are still my favorite part of the garden, so we can't not have tomatoes. If you can see this space behind me where the pig has really tilled the ground for us, we're gonna put our tomatoes along fencing. Oop, fell in a hole. Along fencing this square area. So this area right here is going to be where our tomatoes go this year, and we're gonna keep it as this big square, and I think we might try growing some corn in the center. We have not been successful at growing corn in the past. Just put it out there. Corn just takes a lot of water to grow, and we just don't have a lot of water. But we're gonna give it a try. So tomatoes will be along these 3 sections, but it will be filled fencing. It won't be these panels. We're taking these panels down to use these panels for the archways. the 4 archways and 8 archways in the garden. It'll be 4 and 4. Here's a sneak peek at what's going on those trellises. Actually, I'll just tell you. I won't sneak peek. Painted Lady runner beans. These came from Celtic Roots Farm. We did their seed swap this year. What's up, buddy? We're not having hot chocolate right now. I'm gonna try some Golden Wax garden beans, some garden bean burpees tender pod, and then I'm also gonna try the stringless, and I'm going to label these this year so I can decide which ones are my favorite because those look super similar. I'm so excited to try these long bean Chinese red noodle beans from Baker Creek and dragon tongue beans also from Baker Creek. So those are all the beans that are going to go on the trellises. I'm trying a lot of beans this year. I want to get better at growing beans. For our vining squash, we're going to do butternut squash and spaghetti squash. Then for melons, we're going to do Kajari melons from Baker Creek. I'm just going to call these honey melons. I'm not exactly Madhu Raz. Anyway, honey melons from Baker Creek. We're going to do bush. Oh, these are bush variety. These might not trellis. I just barely noticed that. I'm going to grow these sugar baby watermelons. I'm going to grow honeydew melon and cantaloupe. And other things that are going to go on trellises, English cucumber, Chelsea's prize. These are our very favorite cucumbers that we've ever grown, and I need to order some more for next year if I don't save any. And on that same trellis, I'm going to do Mexican sour gherkins, the cucamelons. They're so cute. I can't wait to try these. Not on a trellis, we're going to put these watermelons. These look too big for trellising. So silver Yamato, or Yamato, I don't know how to say that. And these are just bush types. Summer squash, yellow scallop, and zucchini, gray zucchini. Then the other things I have over here, I want to make a pumpkin patch. I'm not exactly sure where to put a pumpkin patch, but I have some field pumpkins and this big moon pumpkin. That looks pretty exciting. So those are the seeds I have picked out for the garden. I have a plant confession. I went to Tractor Supply today and I did pass up the baby chicks and I did not get any of those, but I went ahead and bought, there's a lemon thyme plant. It smells so good. And I bought a couple more strawberries to add to our strawberry patch because it's just looking a little sad and I really want strawberries. And since Emmett cut those other ones. And I found a lavender plant. They had much larger lavender plants, but I went ahead and got this one just to add to my lavender that looks pretty sad outside. It's really not doing well. So I'm hoping to be able to take cuttings off of this plant and make new ones. But right now I'm not going to do any cutting on it. It wasn't the prettiest one. I just went for the smallest one because I was trying to rein it in. The only thing I needed was flea and tick medicine for our cat. But I ended up getting some other things. But these totes I got at the dollar store, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with them. I use them when it's really windy to harden off plants. And I will show you how I do that in just a second. I also got dahlia plants to put in the flower garden. I tried growing dahlias a couple of years ago, and they grew, and then I dug them up at the end of the season, and I forgot about them in the garage, and I'm pretty sure I killed them when I tried to overwinter them in the garage. And I bought yellow onions to plant along. We do have some onions growing along the chicken coop, but I found out that onions really need to be in full sun, so the place I have my onions is not a good spot. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in a row by our asparagus in the big garden. I'm so excited. I opened up the dahlias and both of the tubers have some growth coming off. So I'm just going to set them in this bowl so that they can soak for a couple hours before I plant them. And then there was this that kind of fell off. It's got a root on it, so I'm just going to go ahead and plant it as if it were its own flower. So I got 3, maybe. If this one grows, I might have gotten 3. We'll see. I don't know. They're very interesting roots looking, but I'm so happy to see this green growth already. That's really cool. I told you a while ago that I would find a use for this pot that I accidentally bought. I bought 2 of these because I was going to have my cactus plants repotted in them. But as you can see, it was just too large of a pot for that job. So I went ahead and reused, don't touch cactus, don't touch cactus. Come here. I went ahead and reused some old pots for, hi. Saying hi. I went ahead and reused some old pots for the cactuses, but now I'm going to use this pot. I am going to use this big pot that I purchased for this lemon thyme. I think that's going to look beautiful. I'm not repotting it today. It smells so good. Smell it, Emmett. Smells good. So I'm not doing that today, but I am going to set the plant down in so I can remember the lemon thyme is going in this pot.
Juice.
You want to show them your juice? Yummy. It's white grape juice, huh? You're so funny. So, for... Here, buddy. You're in a good mood today? Let's show this. Let's show this container that we got. We got this at the dollar store just now. And my favorite thing to use these for in the springtime, because my plants still need to be hardened off. They need to be planted in a couple of weeks. But it's just too windy to put these fragile tomato plants out in the sun. Excuse me, buddy. It's too windy to put these tomato plants out in the sun, how they are right now. They're looking really healthy and really good, but if I put this out in the wind, it's going to get so beat up and just not be good. So these are actually the perfect height for these tomato plants to go down in. Now you have to be careful because if it's really hot, if it's a hot day, these kind of can get like an oven and really, really hot, especially if you use like black ones, or I like to use the clear ones. So this is going to protect all these tomato plants from getting beat up, but they're still going to get the sun and get acclimated to that at least, and they're still going to get some airflow coming in on top. So it's still going to let some of that wind come down in, but it's not going to be hitting them straight on. Like, it's not going to hit them straight on, so they won't be snapping in the wind, but they'll still get the elements of outside. So today, the tomatoes are going to be hardened off for 1 hour. I start them off very slowly. Today they're going to go out for 1 hour, and the peppers will go out for 1 hour too. And I got 2 containers, and I'm going to take my biggest plants out today. And I was going to say, if you don't have those clear containers, you can use boxes. The thing I like better about the plastic as opposed to the cardboard, when you water them, if you want to just leave them in these plastic containers, you can water them in the container, and the water in the cardboard it's going to get mushy, and when you're transporting cardboard, you might have plants fall out the bottom if you've watered in them. If you don't water them, if you just take them out every single time when you come in the house, you can use cardboard boxes. But if you're going to water them, like I'm just going to take the hose and gently water them all. And when they're outside, maybe I won't. They feel pretty moist. But I just like to be able to have the option to be able to just water them when they're in these plastic containers. But you could water them in these cardboard, but you're going to have that problem of the plant maybe falling out, the cardboard getting soggy and falling apart at the bottom when you go to lift heavier things. So just be aware of that. You can use whatever you have lying around, cardboard boxes. But these plastic Tupperwares I have found just are amazing for this, hardening them off in really windy weather. This is all the tomatoes and peppers that I'm going to be hardening off in here. I want them to be pretty level with it. Some of these tomatoes are just really small still, like this one. Just not growing as fast. There's nothing wrong with it, but if I put it down in there, it's going to get completely shaded, and tomatoes and peppers that are from this room, and I'll go into the living room and add the rest of the peppers that I have. All of my peppers need to start getting hardened off. They are all this height, and they are all starting to look a little sad because they've just been in the house too long. I just planted them a little too early, I think. So next year I'll plant them a couple weeks later than I planted this year. I've got my 2 containers packed. Now, I will say I really, really love these square pots. This is my first year trying these square pots, and this one died, but that's okay. But they fit in here perfectly, and I have 75 plants in this container. So they fit perfectly along the side, so there's not going to be any shifting around. Down here you can see I have some circular pots that I had from last year, and they just don't fit as nicely as the square ones fit perfectly in a row. So something to keep in mind. I'm just taking note of this for myself. There's a leaf down here. I'm going to grab that off. All right, let me take these outside and I'll show you where I put them to harden off. I've got this old table here next to my chicken coop. Haven't opened it up for the day yet, but anyway, I put them here, and I will put them here for an hour, and then I will bring them back inside. I like to keep them up off the ground because of any pests or critters, or if the chickens get out, then I don't have any worries, as much worries, as something damaging these plants up here on this table, as opposed to if they were on the ground. All right, next on the to-do list, which I'm going to be doing tomorrow because it's time to go get the kids from school, is to pick all these weeds out here from this chamomile. This chamomile came up on its own, which I'm really excited about, but I'd like to separate some of these other weeds. This is an edible weed, but I'm going to pull it out of the garden. And I've got oregano and chamomile right here, and I want to get all this bindweed out here so that these plants can do better. So that's my task for tomorrow. So I watered all this really good today so that it'll be nice and soft so that I can get the grass out easier. Here's parsley. This all along here is parsley and garlic and herbs. So this edge of the garden is herbs. And then over here is the asparagus. Here's how it looks from the side. So this is the row that needs more asparagus planted in it. The newer strawberry plants look better. I just sprayed that one with a hose. It's a little floppy on the edges, but the center is doing well. So these ones perked up really quickly, actually. Here's the little tree. It's actually doing well in its little pot. And this is where I put that lavender. Not all of it looks too terrible. It just, some of it, like this is a lavender plant that I had tried to put out here. A chicken got in here with her baby chicks and really did a number, and I just really want some lavender to survive. See, that one will probably be okay. So I just put a big one in. Once it gets really bushy, I'm planning on trimming some of the branches and propagating some more, just so that I can fill it up in here. But this plant looks really good right here. But, you know, the petunias actually look really well. They actually transplanted out really nicely. And this blueberry bush, I think, is gonna start getting its leaves really soon. When I look close, I can see the branches starting, and it's just such a green, healthy plant that I think the roots are doing a really good job under there. It was a bare root plant, so that's why it looks like that. The last thing I did was I separated out my lilies. I had a clump of lilies right there. I separated them, and I put those 2 dahlia plants in between. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.
Yeah.
Ew, Ryan! You just like manipulated our pig.
Welcome back to our channel,
Hume's Little Homestead.
Jared's gonna make fun of that one. You gotta edit it.
I can't edit that out. As we were digging up the garden, tilling up the garden, what is your problem?